Yeah. Sounds easy.
Recording ready? Okay, we'll get started. We're still missing one person, but this is the smallest of the group of the 3 sessions.
That's you.
It's me, I'm sorry.
So first of all, welcome all. This is the first time we've tried to do one of these sort of open sessions with a lot of our clients. We try to work a lot with you face to face, but over the last several years in particular, a few people have been asking us for more interaction between clients. In a number of cases, we've facilitated 2 or 3 or 4 clients working closely on individual projects and so forth. But this year is shaping up to be, the next 12 months, some of the biggest changes we've implemented in the Mailman software over the last decade. We also have a few challenges with regards to not all of our clients knowing what is available in the software. For example, I'm looking around at the moment, trying to think of who here has actually done full training with EMS ever. Maybe Peter, that was 10 years ago. Okay, so that represents some challenges, of course. But anyway, first of all, some housekeeping. In case of fire, run out the door, follow the staff. That's fairly easy. Toilets are behind you. There's some gluten-free options if people have requested that. And there will be for, I think there's some vegetarian options for lunch as well. A few other bits and pieces. But okay, so what we've done, as I said, this is the first time we've tried to do this. So a bit of this is, first time out, launching like you guys launching a new event or something like that. We're experimenting a bit, but what we hope to do is repeat these processes maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, something like that. One of the key reasons that we have designed this office in this way. Some of you might know we just purchased this property early this year, so we're still finalising some of the fit out and so forth. But one of the reasons why we arranged the structure like this was so that we could do this session. Okay, so we'll be taking you through things like the release schedule for the Mailman software, overview of the feature set in lotteries, and touching on some other things. There will be, if you're staying the whole day, there will be some repeats of some areas with more detailed information in the respective sections where it's more relevant, but there's some areas, for example, on email broadcasts that would be relevant to all sessions. So we'll be repeating some of those. So we apologise in advance for repeating some of those things. And we also encourage everybody to interact and discuss options and so forth together. As I said, we're looking for these briefings ourselves to get information back about what you'd like to see in the product as well. So even though we are already embarking on a huge development project, current release cycle, there's still a number of things we would want to hear back from you with regards to what you'd like to see in the system as well. With regards to the release schedule, let's get the technical stuff out of the way. So, as most of you know, I think everybody here is on, or almost on, except for Endeavour, on the current 2016 Q3 release. Normally, in the past, we have done a release cycle about every 12 months. Because of the way we are accelerating the development and new feature sets in the products, we have been bringing that down closer to every 6 months. In this particular quarter, we've decided to do a special interim release for December 2016. We're calling that the 2016 Q4 release. This will involve no database changes from the 2016 Q3. It's just an executable upgrade. There will be a handful specific issues, and we want to make that available. But the thing that really tipped it over the edge in terms of needing this new upgrade is that MasterCard has started using card numbers starting with the number 2, and we need to get that out in the marketplace as quickly as possible. So that development has already been completed. It's not quite as simple as just sending you a new executable, because we also need to upgrade your web infrastructure as well. I'm sure most of you can appreciate the software development process has got very complex over the last 10 years with more and more internet integration. This is, of course, one of our strengths, but it is extremely complex to try to keep all of the web infrastructure coordinated and also provide each of you with your own unique capabilities in that space. So, but anyway, that will be available in the next couple of weeks, and we'll communicate that with you at that time. And then work with you each individually as to what needs to be done to support it on the website. Okay? Because every website will need at least some upgrade.
So that UX will be available in a couple of weeks.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we're actually finalising it now. So we're about to go into the testing phase. And as I said, it's only minor changes from the Q3 release, so we expect to get through that fairly quickly. On the development processes and so forth, again, web is definitely what is driving most of our development and continues to, with the exception of some of the changes that we're implementing at the moment, the Mailman software. But web is meaning we are, whereas 20 years ago we developed the donation entry screen, and that screen has largely remained unchanged for nearly 2 decades. We've added a few features here and there. Web, we need to really rewrite our code from scratch every 2 or 3 years. It's a huge amount of effort. So we're in that process at the moment for the web, but also reworking the first time in a couple of decades almost all of the order entry screens and end-of-day processes in the Mailman software. So that's why this 2017 release is going to be quite significant. So you'll actually see a number of changes on the donation entry screens, the lottery entry screens. All of those screens will vary slightly. We've gone through and taken this opportunity to clean out a lot of the old stuff that was there from years ago that's no longer being used. A lot of clients would ask for specific features and they'd run with it, it wouldn't work, so they'd sort of stop using it, but then we still had the code in there that we had to maintain. So we're taking this opportunity to clear all that out and rework a lot of those things. So that's why one of the reasons why the 2017 is such a big release for it. Some of you have noticed the upcoming 30-year birthday for DMS. I think that's quite an achievement for us, particularly in the software world. There's not many 30-year-old software companies or IT companies that are all around, and I think that that's something we're quite proud of, the fact that we've been able to provide consistency and longevity for our clients. Some of our clients have been using us for nearly 15 years in the Mailman space. We have other products where they've been using it for longer. We're also in areas like postal barcoding, data quality systems, things like that, in the commercial world, where we've had some longer-term customers again. But we've been very proud of the fact that we've been able to provide that consistency of operation over that period of time. So thank you for being our clients and that and supporting us in that. In that time, we've worked in the not-for-profit space for about 20 years. I was saying before, we actually started, or I started, the company was actually called Complete Micro Solutions. And what we did was we developed large-scale lottery operations for direct mail companies that were selling products like Gold Lotto and Canadian Lotto and so forth all around the world. We were doing about $10 million worth of lodgements a month. We had 2 of the 3 largest direct mail lottery companies in the world using our products, and we learned a lot about being able to be flexible, being able to data drive the software so that the software could work one way one moment, a different way another moment. And that is what contributes to the flexibility that we see in Mailman software. In the mid-90s, we were approached by first the Salvation Army and then Mission Australia to help them with some significant database problems, because we were by that time considered experts in the general database marketing area, as it was known then. These days, we've got other buzzwords like CRM and so forth. But back then, it was database marketing. So, for example, we were behind Mission Australia becoming a single entity. We underpinned all the database work that allowed them to combine from all the separate city missions that they were then into one single central entity. Since then, we've progressively expanded our work in the not-for-profit space. Originally, we saw it as a fairly small part of our business. It was a way that we could give back to the community through organisations like your own. But these days, we've progressed more and more of our business operations into the fundraising space, and probably 80 to 90% of our development these days is sold in the fundraising space. The combination of the Mailman software and that infrastructure and all of the web infrastructure that we developed. And I think it's testimony to the architecture of the software that it has sustained itself pretty much unchanged over that period of time. For example, we've seen the introduction of the internet and the increasingly poorly named Mailman as we've moved into the internet area over the years. We've stuck with the Mailman name, even though people are often confused a little bit by that, because are predominantly email-based and so forth. It's been a great infrastructure. It's allowed us to keep progressing, and the ability for us to develop and design new capabilities and bring that to the marketplace in the not-for-profit space is really important to us. And in particular, it's our integration of all of our infrastructure that is vital to the operations for most of our clients. So some of our competitors, for example, they have an in-house system, and they have an email infrastructure, and they have sometimes multiple separate web infrastructures for their events. They have a different one for lotteries and stuff like that. We have some significant challenges trying to be best of breed in lotteries, best of breed in events, best of breed in a number of different areas, and to tie all of that together so it's integrated. So there's no file exchanges and so forth. So that's really what we're focused on doing. Now, a couple of other things that you guys might not be aware of, and that we're continuously improving. As I said, a big part of our challenge is trying to get information out to our clients, because we know that sometimes we send out what's new information and stuff like that. It doesn't always get picked up. Sometimes get blocked by firewalls. Sometimes people are busy. Sometimes people read it but then forget it there and stuff like that. So we're expanding some of the facilities that we're implementing on our website and so forth. Liz, do you want to show the current DMS site? So has everybody here visited at least the DMS site once? Yeah? Okay. So there's a couple of things I want to bring to your attention. The first is under support. And the support website. There we go, at the bottom here. You need to register to gain access. But once you're given access, all of our training manuals and a lot of other resources are in this portal. Okay, they're always the latest versions, and they're all available for you to download at any time. Okay, so some of you also, we have developed custom business procedure documentation as well. We can also make those available. Sometimes we have had to resupply customers with documentation that we actually wrote for them originally, because it gets lost. One of the problems with this industry is lots of staff turnover. So maintaining that consistency of information flow is difficult sometimes. The other thing that I want to point out, we've just relaunched a videos page on our main website. So some of our newer features, we are doing videos and making them available here. So we've got the latest videos. There's also this, it's divided into 3 sections, general Mailman videos, and down the bottom, there's also a lot on general fundraising. So for example, if you don't know what responsive design is, or how to make sure that your websites are secure, or something like that, we've got a lot of videos covering those general things that are designed for well, not just our clients, but anybody in the industry. They can go there and get an understanding of those sorts of things. Because there's still a number of our clients, we're still pushing hard to try to get them to get things like responsive design, not just on their websites, but on their receipts. So all of the web infrastructure that we do is responsive, meaning it's mobile aware. But for example, it's pretty common for us to see email broadcasts be sent out that aren't responsive. So about 50% of email reading is now done on a mobile device. So you need to take that into consideration when you're actually writing your emails. Okay, so these sorts of videos are designed to take you through those general technical issues, because when we're dealing with web, it is very technical, it is very complex. We're dealing with a lot of, it's not a single vendor process. We have payment gateways, we have web infrastructure, we have servers, we have all sorts of complex scenarios that need to be managed. And it's often confusing to our clients. They don't understand why they need to have an SSL certificate and renew it. Remember to renew it every 2 years, for example. So we frequently have to jump in and save the day where somebody's let their SSL certificate expire, or even their domain name registration expire, which is even worse. And we have to try to scamper, drop everything, and try to save the day. So these videos are designed to increase people's knowledge on those general areas. Okay, we're going to have a look at lotteries at the moment. So we'll jump into probably the Mailman software. Or we can drop the background music list too.
I was trying not to make it too abrupt.
Gentle fade and music. Okay. One of the great things about working with fundraisers is whenever we talk to them and say, what do you need? And they say to us generally, oh, we're just like everybody else. And then they go on to describe a whole series of unique variations that nobody else is doing, very particular to that organization. So most of you are aware that we have a whole range of lottery capabilities, and I want to go through some of the general stuff first of all, just to make sure that everybody is aware of some of the things that we have, and then we'll get into some of the new stuff. So as you know, the lottery system is designed to be very scalable and robust. So we have clients that are running tens of millions of tickets in a single draw, for example. We're able to support access through a variety of different channels. So we have to support direct mail, email, telemarketing, fax, website, a whole variety of approaches like that. We have to support a whole variety of different payment methods, not just credit cards, but also direct debits, direct deposits, BPay, PayPal, prepaid standing orders and stuff like that. We support but not just individual ticket sales, but also standing orders, the regular purchases, but also gift tickets, a variety of different technologies that allow you to do things like personalized gift tickets and so forth. So you can have gift ticket options, such as Christmas lottery ticket, for example. So when somebody purchases a gift ticket online, you can have a special template that's laid out for a birthday or for Christmas and stuff like that. There's a variety of personalisation options that are available around that and so forth. Okay, and on that, I want to take you through some, I mentioned before, some of the areas that we'll be covering later on in the day, such as payments. I want to have a look at some of the new variations that we're bringing in with this next release, and that is we're expanding support for BPay and PayPal and general e-wallets. Now, some of you already have BPay support implemented, and some of you are using PayPal already. What we're doing is we're expanding the support a little bit to help primarily with the reconciliation. At the moment, they generally get handled as prepaid, pre-banked cash transactions, and some of you are asking us for separate formal payment methods for BPay, for example, and separate ones for different e-wallet scenarios. We actually haven't done this work in the lotteries area yet, but we have done it in the not-for-profit, the donation receipt area. I'm just going to show you what that's going to look like. That is the old screen. Is that the right Excel you're running? You got the tokens, so. Oh no, you haven't got the tokens. No? Yeah, that'd be technical issues. I should explain, we're dealing a lot here, we're moving between different systems because we have to show different capabilities that are set up in different platforms. And also, we're showing off software that is still in the middle of development. So there's bound to be a few glitches. We've just got to turn the right function on. This will be with us in a second. Now, by the way, if you want to use, here we go. Okay. So this is the new layout of the donation screen, and there'll be similar changes to the Art Union screen. So one of the key things, BPay. So BPay support is something we added about 12 months ago. One of the videos on the website explains actually how to implement BPay, and there is also some documentation you can download as well. Essentially what you do is you need to modify the contact selection that you use for your mail and email generation, and add the BPay code column to it, and that gives you the ability to merge that information onto the devices that go to the clients. The clients use that code to make their BPay payment, and then you process the transaction as a pre-banked cash at the moment. But the key change here is that we will actually have a fixed payment method for BPay. The e-wallet facility is a generic term. So e-wallet, most common electronic wallet is, here we go, Glennis. Grab a name badge. Glennis is from the Far North Queensland Hospital Foundation. Have a seat. Looks like you're at. Nobody wants to do that. So e-wallets, there's PayPal, for example, but there's also Google Wallet, and there are a whole range of other technologies that are available. There are a lot of them, and we can't support everyone. Really, it's a marketplace-driven process. We have had PayPal support in place for clients for about 2 years now, and it gets implemented on your website. You can't process transactions through Mailman using e-wallet, because that's not what it's designed for. But it's here when you are editing a transaction. We will have a separate radio button so you can see that the transaction is processed through one of these e-wallets. So probably if you want to see a website with that on, I think the events website for the Westmead Hospital Foundation, for example, has PayPal integration already in place. Okay, so those are two of the first changes. The second big change, and this is probably the biggest change that's coming in 2017, is support for tokenization. So I'll be going through the middle session on payments is predominantly about tokenization, and we'll be going through that in a far greater detail. But essentially, what it means is that rather than storing credit card information in the system, we immediately make a call to a payment gateway and get a token that is unique for your account and that credit card, and we use that to reference the credit card transaction throughout any additional processing. So in the order entry screen in Mailman, for example, what happens is you come in here, you type in the card number, expiry date, and CVC code. Notice we've removed the drawer name, card name. That's no longer necessary. And we can provide an option to save. So what that does is allows the supporter to indicate that they're happy for you to retain the card details on file for future reuse. We'll come back to that in a minute. What happens there, as soon as you press the OK button, we validate the card number and then pass it straight through the gateway, get the token, and we store that in the database. So the card number is never stored in the database. Same thing happens on the website. In fact, all of your web infrastructure should, for standard transactions, should not be storing card numbers. We process the transaction directly and then just store the results. But this is a big change in how these sorts of processes are handled. The other thing that we do is we use tokens for standing orders and for pledges, recurring transactions. So where we need to reuse a card number over a period of time.
It's optional at this stage, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So the way this will be implemented, you'll have two options. If you will have a new version of the screens that looks exactly the same at the moment, but we've just cleaned out the code, and there'll be none of these changes. Then we may have the DPay and e-wallet support, but these token changes will not come through if that's what you choose to do. If you are on we'll be supporting, first of all, the PayStream payment gateway for tokenization. I think Endeavour want us to support eWay, and we've got another client who wants another gateway. And this is part of the challenge with these sorts of things. Everybody has their own approach, and each one of these vendors has different API requirements, different data storage requirements, different security infrastructure. There's a whole extra development effort for each one. But the infrastructure that we've designed that's core to the software should support each of these. So we then just have to redevelop the payment gateway support for each one. But if you'll be able to move to the 2017 release without tokenization, no changes to current processes. It will continue to work exactly the same way it is. And when you're ready to support tokenization through one of these supported gateways, we change a control key, and that will change the screens that pop up. So you noticed before we had the wrong screen coming up. That was that can be influenced by the control. Okay. Okay. So once we've saved a token, one of the key things here is that if the same support comes back to us, let's say you've got them on the telephone, and you will have a pull-down list of pre-saved cards, and you can just say, do you want to use your Visa card that we've got on file? They say yes, select it, and that's it. Yep.
Sorry, you're probably going to cover this in the second session, so stop me if I'm asking too much.
That's okay.
I thought the idea of tokenization is that we will no longer have that information.
Okay, so what's happening here is we are only storing, in the current system, we store the whole card in an encrypted form, okay, and we display that with obfuscating the middle. What's happening here is we're actually only storing the first 6 and last 4 digits. The middle part of the card number here is not being stored in the database.
But you will still see that.
You will still see this.
You're out on the PCI because it helps you then identify when you're talking to a customer as to which account, which
Oh, definitely, and that's why we've been avoiding it. But I was under the impression that when tokenisation came, you didn't see any numbers, but
No.
you still see those numbers at a phase or terms that have about tokenisation.
Excellent. No, we need to retain these parts for customer service requirements, but also duplicate protection in the tokens, because we want to reuse tokens wherever possible. And if we tokenize the same card twice, we get back different tokens. So we need to first, when we're tokenizing a new card, the first thing we do is we have to check our current token list to see if that's already been tokenized. And if so, we grab that token, otherwise we go tokenize. Okay. And the same thing happens on the website. Let's have a look at that. Yep. Now, what we're doing at the moment, we've developed all this infrastructure in the donation processing area, and we're doing lots of simulations, and we're about to start working with clients to get feedback on these processes. We are going the whole hog in terms of the development up front, but then each client will have choices as to what they're going to implement and what they're not. So you might implement some of this capability, but not all of it, or you might go full length. So normal donation entry form, tokenization, token reuse requires that we implement a strong authentication of the supporter. Okay? So even if they're just making a donation, you need to be able to authenticate that the person who gets to reuse the token is actually who they say they are. So at the moment, we just use duplicate protection to merge accounts and stuff like that. We have to have much stronger authentication on the website. To make that simpler, we've introduced Facebook login capabilities. So you'll have the ability as a user to either log in using a normal Mailman login. Most of you have, apart from Access, have a portal facility where you can log in and set up an account and reuse that. Or you can use the Facebook login. And if you do that, are we logged in? No? There we go. Now, obviously, if they're most people are already logged into Facebook and have the auto login, so that allows us to avoid part of this process. We're just going to get to test this feature, we have to actually set up a dozen different Facebook accounts and do all different variations to it. So it's quite. So Alyssa has to get the right login for Tony. Do you like Tony's mustache? Do you need Gunnar? Okay, well, she's working on that. So yeah, tokenization is going to be a massive change. It's going to offer a range of benefits in terms of security primarily, because it means that what we want to have is by the end of next year, none of our hosted customers and very few of our in-house customers will be using, have any credit cards on their databases. Okay. You're probably all aware that credit card security and PCI DSS is getting harder and harder, and this is one sure way to get 9/10 of the way through all of those problems. You there? Okay, excellent. Okay, so once we've logged in, pre-populates all of Tony's details. We go down the bottom, and we can pay with the saved card, or you can enter a different card. Okay. If in
Sorry, Mike, is
yep.
that just logging into Facebook or the same information chart and logging for the normal?
Either. Okay, and that's just part of the complexity we're working through at the moment. What happens if they have, say, an MSQ login, but have never used Facebook Connect, but prefer to use Facebook Connect? Or if they have logged in through Facebook last time, but now want to transition to an MSQ login. And so all those permutations and combinations.
They would get both of them, so if they log in by Facebook, they would get it anyway.
Yes, but we have to be very careful using one set of credentials to establish security under, to establish connection to a second set of there. Those are the sorts of things that we are working through internally at the moment. As I said, in the next month, we'll start externalizing that and getting people to run through these processes. There's all sorts of challenges that you also have to look at internally. Some of you, for example, if you do inbound telemarketing or outbound telemarketing, do you allow your staff, when they've called the client, to allow them to offer reuse of an existing? Do we allow a face-to-face marketer who finds somebody on the street who is able to authenticate that person, be able to use token? There's all these sorts of things. It's not just a technical challenge. There are business processes that need to be considered. Maybe you want to allow your major gift people that option, but not your lotteries people. And there's all these different scenarios we have to work through with each of you. And many of you are going to come up with different answers. Okay, and we have to support each of them. So there's a lot of work going on here. Okay. Any more questions about tokenization? This, as I said, we've got a whole session focused on this, and we'll go back through a lot of stuff. Okay, gift tickets. So many of you are aware that we have, as I was saying before, that we have the option to offer not just gift tickets for an afternoon ticket purchase, and this can be done either through Mailman or through the website. The website, we've done some nice implementations where people can offer different layouts for different gift tickets and so forth. So you can send different types of birthday cards and Christmas cards and all sorts of other scenarios, get well soon cards and so forth. But one of the things we're doing with our work at the moment is in the standing order space, we're adding gift ticket support to standing orders. Okay. We're still going to get you guys 2 standing orders, but then when we do,
Set up and go.
Excellent. Okay, so normal standing order entry process. This is a gift, and then there's a new tab where you can select the recipient and the message. And again, there are business processes we need to work with you on. The general consensus with the message is that the message should be implemented on the first piece of fulfillment that goes to the supporter, to the recipient, but not the subsequent ones, for example. But you'll have options to do either way. Okay, and we'll be adding fulfillment via SMS and different combinations. So at the moment, you can have fulfillment via mail or email. The new platform will support SMS as well, plus any combination of the 3. So if they want all 3, we'll be able to send that, fulfill that to them. And this is available both via the Mailman interface and via the website as well. In addition to that, we have a new facility coming in called, we're calling it override letter code. Now, as you know, when you are processing a transaction in Mailman, here we go, down the screen, you have a variety of processes that allow the system to select the default letter code for the fulfillment. First of all, we will allow, and again, you'll be able to turn this on or off. You'll be able to use the current method of letter codes and make no changes if you wish. If you want to use this override letter codes facility, it'll allow you to also say, so you might select the relevant mail piece, for example, the ticket, but then they tick the email box. There's a system in the background that knows that this email layout is the equivalent to this mail layout. So it'll automatically assign that letter code to the system in the background. So in the background at the moment, we've got one field that stores the current receipt format. Now we've got three. Okay? But rather than have an operator selects the mail layout and then selects the email layout and then selects the SMS layout, we figured this was a better approach. The other thing the override letter codes facility does, it allows you to implement your own business logic and change the letter code that the operator has selected. Okay? This will allow you to, for example, have, if it's a first time ticket buyer, change the letter code of the ticket to a welcome layout. Okay? If it's the 5-year anniversary of this person supporting your organisation, or they have made $1,000 worth of gift purchases in the last 12 months, or any other business scenario, you can have the system programmatically change the ticket layout to a different layout.
That's really important.
That's under development at the moment. That's what we said.
But not till Q1.
That's right.
Yeah. That's our project we're working on.
That's right. We're doing a separate special one because you didn't want to wait. So you'll have a special.
It's a set, we're not talking about some function.
No.
Yeah.
This will take it much further. Okay. What we're doing for you guys is, I think, one ticket. One ticket gets one layout. More than one ticket gets a different one. Yep. Okay. This takes it further. Okay. But you also have that ability as well. So you can vary the layout depending on the number of tickets purchased or any other option. It's a process that will run in the database in a stored procedure. So these sorts of facilities we expose in ways that we can modify for each individual client. Because I said, no two clients have the same ideas as to how this is supposed to work for them. So what that means is we can provide one Mailman software update and then customize this process for every organisation. Yeah.
Will there be a limit on the number of variations?
No, it's just
Means we want to.
as much program code as we need to develop to support those variations.
And from our perspective, if we all of a sudden decide, oh yeah, we do want to implement something where they've been buying with us for 5 years, is that something that we can do at our end? Like clearly we can create letter codes and what have you.
Yeah.
Do we need to get
Technically, somebody with Barry's skill, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
should be able to do this.
Okay.
But again, we have had a few issues with some of the Barry special stuff over the years, so we just have to be careful.
But
But
if we wait for this version, then we'll get it.
yes, you'll be able. She's asking a separate question.
Yeah.
Once you get it, could you maintain it in-house?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Okay, you do need to have a good understanding of this process and SQL knowledge. Okay. But Endeavour, for example, have plenty of people who would be able to use and manipulate this.
We're not skilled. We're not busy.
I'm sure the fees would be very brief. So yeah. I want to point out too, look, in the past, most businesses grow by getting lots of new clients. DMS is very different in that regard, particularly in the not-for-profit space, because we're actually growing with our existing client base. We've decided that we can actually only manage about one new client a year because we are getting so much of our business is developing customization for clients. So every year, clients come back to us, or sometimes every month, clients come back to us with new lottery requirements. Every time an event gets launched, they have new event infrastructure. They change their website. They change their branding. We are continuously in a process of development. Yep.
Can I ask then, when you make code changes based on, say, a requirement from MS Queensland,
Yep.
when you implement your next release, is that code made available for all your clients?
Yes. Yeah. And that's generally what we do. So, and in fact, that's a key part to how the software develops. What used to happen, as I said, because Mailman was a Windows application, like most Windows applications, we're able to do an annual release, and we're able to we use an approach called data-driven technology to turn features on or off or change how things work for individual clients. So we can customize for every client and still deliver a single code base. There's no code variation amongst our client base other than which version of the executable are on. With the web, it's a bit of a different ballgame though, because even though we have a huge investment in what we call our web core, our core set of routines that, for example, the credit card number entry field, just getting the spacing right, validation, stuff like that. There's something like a month of development just on that one field. And we're not going to redo that every time we do a new page. So that's part of our web core. Having said that, a lot of the infrastructure, and we try to get as much reuse out of that core as we can, but every client has variations as well. And sometimes we can change the web core to support different options, and other times we've got to do custom versions for the individual clients. So they don't always transition easily, but it's a big challenge for us to try to coordinate that. And this is one of the reasons why we can't take on lots of new clients. It's because of the amount of work that is involved in this process. We probably turn out probably a new event page or lottery page or donation page probably every week. So with not just launching a new event, that just, an MSQ, you launch a lot of events we don't even know about. Sometimes we get a phone call, something's going on this site, we don't even know you had that site. That's all good. We're talking about variations where we have had to do significant work.
And after your Q1 2007 release, is there any way, without like any privacy issues, that you can publish like a development roadmap for the product, so
yep.
we can see in your next release these are the things that, obviously understanding that things change, but
yep.
here's the additional functionality or bugs or whatever that you're working on. So, because we, as you know, we're constantly contacting you going, can we do this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
If we could perhaps see a bit of a development roadmap, we would know, oh, that's coming on in Q3 2017, and make the call as to whether we could wait for that.
We try to do our best with that regard, and this is the point of these briefings, is to give you an idea of what's coming. Okay. Having said that, you're probably all aware, with all the other technology infrastructure we use, people have the best intentions on launching a feature. We get technical issues, or we have to reprioritize, and so forth. Almost every day, our plans are interrupted by clients who desperately need a new web page tomorrow because they're in the Australian on this weekend, stuff like that. So it's a tricky combination to keep all of this stuff coordinated and get the communication right to all of our clients. But as I said, we're doing our best, and we're continuing to introduce new things like these briefings, like the videos. We do, with each release, include a what's new document. I think the last one went to, 10 pages or more of fairly detailed information. We also have to revamp all the training manuals at every release. So there's 2,000 pages or something, probably more, of training documentation. Now, if we make a change to a donation entry screen, it might be a 3-day job to add these new capabilities, it might take us 4 weeks to redo the screenshots, to redo there's probably 100 screenshots of this screen, to redo the documentation and so forth. But we do all of that, and we try to keep it coordinated as close as we can to the release, get it up onto the website so that people can download it, try to get the emails out to let you all know they're there, and then we watch and nobody logs in. So that's, again, why we're trying to do these briefings. We're trying to find different ways to engage with people so that'll work for you. So please, I'll come to this later, but we're looking for feedback from you guys as well as to what is going to work for you. How should we structure these sorts of things? How regularly should we have them? How should we break the subject areas down and so forth? So, for example, we didn't even know when we were designing this day, should we have a separate session just for peer events, for example? So we ended up folding that into a general area. But those are the sorts of things that we need to work out. We're here to help you guys do your business as best as possible. So we're going to listen to you and that. Okay. There's also another change in standing orders. Some of you allow prepaid standing orders, and this is a very open area. When we were first spoke to the clients who wanted prepaid standing orders, they sat us down and said, okay, it works like this. The person will phone us up and give us a credit card or a direct debit deposit, and we'll just, and we need to process that transaction and make sure it goes against the standing order. And then the variations started coming. Sometimes they'll come in and give us cash. Sometimes they'll pay this, and then they'll pay another part a month later. There were so many variations and so many issues that we decided the best way was to just maintain it via a balance field and be able to see the history of the transaction. So that's what is currently used. With our work that we're developing with the Mater Hospital Foundation, and I should point out there were going to be about 6 people from Mater here today, but unfortunately the lotteries team had to pull out just the day before yesterday, I think. But in the next briefing, hopefully they'll be here. Some are coming for the next 2 sessions. But for what they require, obviously you guys are aware of the scale of their operations and complexity. We will be implementing special product codes that handle the prepayment process. So when you set up a prepaid standing order, you'll set up that standing order, it'll have a balance of 0, and then you process a normal payment order against one of these prepaid products, and it will go against that balance and increase the balance with whatever balance you pay. What this allows us to do then is allow these holding products.
Sorry, that's with a credit card, is it?
Any payment method.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll be able to process the payments in the system. So at the moment, for example, a credit card for a prepaid standing order has to be processed outside of the system. And if they're doing part payment, we've got some ridiculous scenarios where people want to do prepaid but pay part payments over several months. Things like that is getting very complex. But you'll be able to do this now and have it correctly controlled by the same credit clearance processes at the end of the day that you use for everything else. And you will have it correctly accounted for in the GL, which is the other area that we're using. Okay.
So that balance field, is it editable?
At the moment, it's editable. So if somebody does say...
But under what you're saying, it won't be.
It won't be, yeah. That's right.
And it's part of the initial data entry
Yeah.
process.
It will mean that a prepaid entry will mean 2 parts to process. Set up a standing order and then process the payment.
Yep.
But it means that top-ups will just be the payments and you just assign it to the
And then
standing order.
as they pay for purchases, it will come down
It'll
and no one
definitely-
can edit the balance.
That's correct. Okay. There's some complexities there with regards to what happens with different bounces of payments and stuff like that. But we'll be working through those scenarios as well. With these sorts of developments, probably 20 to 30% of the time is involved in doing the core thing that we thought that we had to do. The other 70 is handling the exceptions that we discover along the way. So it's always a bit of a challenge. Okay. Okay. We're going to get into the fulfillment area now. So we've already been through the other options for fulfillment. There's also some changes to the print log area. So currently what happens is when a ticket is generated and put into the print queue, that ticket is then sent either printed or emailed, and then the print queue is purged. So anyone who's done that ticket generation, you get the purge entries from the print log, and you press that button and it removes those entries, and we move on. What is going to happen with the new version is those print log entries will have a status allocated to them, and will simply change the status to completed, and they'll disappear from your print log process. Sorry, from the ticket generation process. You won't notice any difference. But what's going to happen is we will now have a complete history of the actual ticket production process. And that includes reprints and so forth. So at the moment, if somebody does a reprint, the print log entry itself has a flag that says that it's a reprint, and you can use that as a merge field on your ticket production. Okay? But once that's completed, that print log entry is purged, so you don't have a history against the supporter's account that a reprint occurred. So what you will have in the future is that full history. Okay.
And once it's printed, does it remove it from the generate receipts?
From the generate
you don't
receipts?
Have to manually remove it.
You don't see it, and most of it is hidden in the background. The only place you'll see this additional print log history is in the view events section of the order. We'll come back to that in a few minutes.
What if it's printed down or something you print?
You would still, when you get to the end, you'll still get that purge from the print queue. You just say no, in which case you say no, fix your printer down.
No, wait.
Yep, and then reprint. Okay, so that there's no changes from the physical business process.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. So
Yeah,
it is still manual. It doesn't just remove once it's printed.
that's correct.
And
Yeah.
so where does it show up on history? One thing at someone's history, it will show that it was printed.
Yeah. So there's a
And
facility. There's a facility called Show Events. There's no events here. We'll show some. Oh, we've got some screenshots. This is one of the key features that has been in Mailman for a little while, but not everybody knows it's there. Okay. So that'll do. Okay. So this is actually an email ticket that was sent, and we can actually see the history of all the details of what happened to that order. So events include things like the changing of status, the general ledger and credit clearance. So if something might go into the retry process and have 3 retries through the credit card clearance before it clears, those events display there. In this case, because it was an email ticket, we can actually see when it was delivered and opened, and if they clicked on any links in that ticket, etc. And we will then also have events for the ticket printing process. Okay, so this facility is already there for both campaign entries, particularly emails, and also your current history tab. Okay, So you can see a lot of important information in there, and we'll be adding a few new events for these sorts of things. Okay.
Is the ticket still editable, or can we make it not?
No, it has to go through the Word print queue unless you avoid the print queue and go straight to a mailing house process or something like that. You don't have to use the Word, the merged Word.
There's no way to make that Word document.
No, it's a Word document. We looked at doing we could generate to PDF, but then we have all sorts of other problems in terms of processing time, and also we're not sure we can solve the problem whether we can use one long document to do that. The current libraries we have will produce a separate document for each ticket.
I don't know if anyone else has any issues with that, but my personal view on an editable Word document is if you have a staff member who's less than trustworthy, they can edit ticket numbers and everything. That's not a problem before they print.
Yeah. Look, it's a challenging one because I mean that was designed so that you could edit it to put in a bit of extra personalisation or something like that.
You can't like just lock it. Even though it's a Word document, you can't lock it with a special password or.
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Excel,
The Word Mailman interface I don't think allows us that level of control.
That could solve it.
Yeah.
Lock it for heading purposes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we could shoot, if we put it into a database, but then the database creates the ticket.
Right.
But then we can print an individual ticket from that database.
Yeah.
So it controls all that much easier.
At this stage, we need to edit tickets. Like, for instance, if someone goes online and purchases a gift ticket for someone else, and it's not being emailed, for whatever reason, it's not getting through, and we
Yep.
change it to print.
Yep.
You cannot get it to print in the gift recipient's name. It comes up in the purchaser's name.
Okay.
Yeah, you can connect to the online only.
Yeah.
So it's a function you have to have, and then you put in your happy birthday form and as well. So,
Yeah.
there are times when you do need to edit.
I can set that for a late.
Actually, can you just make a note, please, to let's check on reprinting for gift ticket recipients as well as purchases, please.
Because it
Let's
actually
double
concerns
check
me
that.
if that ticket number one.
It's in the wrong name.
It's in the wrong name.
The field name changes with an e-ticket. I've manually changed my HTML whether it's a normal e-ticket or a different ticket within different field names within it. But it's only done in for e-ticket, not I didn't realize it's printing.
Yeah, because only because
Yeah.
a lot of them bounce or they don't get paid for whatever reason.
So we should be able to write a print version of the gift ticket, which you don't need. Yeah, sorry.
What you're talking about from before, though, where you can select mail, email, or SMS, and you're saying if you select mail and email, email knows if it's using a mail letter template of ABC,
Yep.
it knows to then use that email template that matches that.
That's
Shouldn't
right.
that resolve that issue?
Possibly. We'll need to make Mrs. Departure, by the way, she's the chief in charge of quality management. So she's been with us for, since June, July, yeah, something like that. But she's now pretty much up to speed with most of the business processes and so forth. So she's chief in charge of following up on anything that pops up during here. But as I said, we've made a note of their area. We'll double check that. And this is one of the problems that we face because we pour a lot of effort into trying to think of every different business scenario. But at the end of the day, our imagination will only carry us so far. We need your collective input on these areas as well. Do what we can. Okay. Another area that is coming is a new what we call ops infrastructure. So the process of opting in or out of various marketing scenarios is getting increasingly complex. As you guys know, we predominantly handle it through flags and contact types. Okay. And each of you have developed your own approaches to using that technology to do that. There will be a new tab on the contact edit window called Ops, and it will be a tiered structure in the process. So, at the top tier, you still are going to have your contact edit flags. One of the flags has been changed. We just open flags this. So we used to have a do not fax. Can't find any of our clients who are using fax as a marketing mechanism. So we've repurposed that for do not estimate. So that's the first thing. So you still have the flags as an organisation-wide opt-out process for your supporter.
So, sorry, when you try to clarify, when you mean that, if we pick one of those at the flags level,
yep,
they do not mail, they're not
yep,
mail, events, lotteries, anything.
Exactly.
So it's organised. Okay,
everything.
definitely.
Okay, and that happens right now.
Yeah.
Okay, unless you've done something very strange. So too with deceased and closed by company, all that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, we haven't mentioned that. That'll. Some of you too might have noticed the do not merge flag here. So we have it's a new flag that allows you to mark a client as so that it cannot be merged with another contact. And also, if you wish, you can also make it so that you can't merge other contacts into that contact. So we have some clients who have very strange scenarios where Mrs. Smith has some sort of consortium thing she's got on, syndicate thing going on with her lottery ticket purchases, and she has 20 different groups of friends. And this group of friends buys these lottery tickets, and these ones buy this lottery ticket, and so forth. But she's got 20 accounts, and of course she gets picked up by every digit. And we need to provide a facility where we can stop the system merging those two. So probably, well, it does sometimes apply to lotteries, but we've also got other areas where this is processed.
Can I just ask a question?
Yep.
The account merged field.
Yep.
Joe Blogs loves signing up and creating several records.
Yep.
We merge those together.
Yep.
And you can't see them all. So that box there, you can't see them all.
Do not merge is one of the triggers for filtering on the contact selections.
No,
so,
I know, yeah, but I'm talking about the account merged field.
Yep.
I had someone who had 3 accounts that we merged into one.
Yep.
And I could only see that second box. I could see that one.
Yep.
But that third little strip, I could see the 2. I can't see
I can't see
the rest of it. No.
First of all, if this doesn't track the accounts that were merged into this contact, it tracks that this contact was merged into another. So it can only be
Well,
one.
it must have been the other way around, but
Can only be one code. But if the field's not quite wide enough, I don't think I've noticed that. But it could be the font size
on your screen. It's not a common occurrence, but it's always those people that come up with a problem that create some random accounts.
Yep.
And then something happens. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, just how to access that information, what's been merged with what.
Okay, there is a flag in the database you can access with that information. You can give your IT team that information if you're having an issue there. Yeah, otherwise it should be. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's an issue.
We've got a lovely gentleman from the Czech Republic who's no longer allowed to buy tickets. He creates 7 records of lottery.
Yep.
And then claims the money back when he doesn't win.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Through Visa.
That's one of the problems with lotteries. I'm sure you're all aware that under the credit card rules, you can actually decline or reverse a purchase after the lottery has been drawn.
Wow.
Not much we can help you with that one.
Kip will get on it.
Okay. So coming back to this scenario, so let's say we have the flags, they control the organisation-wide ops. Okay. Then you might have lotteries, events, and fundraising. And then under lotteries, you have your prize home and your car lottery. And under events, you know, your cycling events, etc. And then within the prize home lottery, you might have, you know, your ordinary draws and your bonus draws or something like that. You have as many layers and levels of this as you need. Now, as you know, in contact selections a few years ago, we introduced contact selection views. And we're using these views. We create one of the views for every one of these levels that you require. What it'll allow you to do is provide supporters with opt-out options at every level. Okay? So if they want to opt out of all lotteries, you tick the flag on that lotteries. And they might just say opt out of email for lotteries. You'll be able to do that. Or they might say, no, I just don't want the car lottery. Or I only want to see the bonus prize home. So you'll be able to do all of those variations. You'll be able to have really granular control over the ops processes for these. Okay? You just got to make sure that we have to structure the contact selection views for each of these scenarios, and we need to make sure that the correct views are used when doing the contact selection. Okay.
Does all the lottery views, for example, would have to be adjusted?
We have to adjust them to support those. And again, you will be able to move to 2017 and not make use of this. You can continue to use your existing infrastructure, okay? And you can migrate to it at a later date.
Are you releasing a checklist for all this?
There'll be a lot of documentation.
So you're going to get this, if you take this, you need to change the views, you need to
Yeah.
change this.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of
So there'll be a-
documentation. We're already working
Look
on
forward.
it. We're still
Business reading.
4 or 5 months out from the release, and we're already writing hundreds of pages of documentation, all the different scenarios and stuff like that.
I was just going to ask, so
And doing
with
videos.
the breakdown,
Yep.
you could even do things like, I don't want to be in 12 lotteries a year, I only want to be in 6 lotteries a year, but I still want to be a reoccurring, but only for 6, regardless of, like, so if it's just 6 prize funds.
Yeah.
You'd be able to do that.
So that's one of the scenarios that the sort of things that we're working into our model. We haven't finalized that specific area, but we've got, for example, a customer who wants to say whether we want more or less communication. And this is a very grey area because when we write software, we have to be very, very specific when we're doing the coding. So, but we need to be able to accommodate that somehow. And it may be through this sort of structure here at that sort of level. Or you might need a separate type of contact flag to work in coordination with this.
Will it work also, say, if we send a lottery email and they hit the unsubscribe button?
Yep.
What flag?
It's up to you to define what options they will receive there.
Okay, so the unsubscribe link will have a ID that will generate the...
Yes, it will take them to the unsubscribe page that we will code specifically for your organisation. So a typical one, for example, would be if they got a prize home email, you would say, do you want to opt out of prize home emails or all emails from this organisation? We can technically provide the full granularity to the supporter, but we highly recommend against that because
We're not sending to a page and saying you are subscribed, and we've decided what that button does.
that's the thing. You guys will define the unsubscribe process that as it gets exposed to the client. What we have to do is provide the infrastructure that can support all of those variations. Okay, and that's what this model is
But the
for.
support portal, they can maybe go in there and do it.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's another
Is
option
that
that we
being
have.
adjusted for that?
It will need to be adjusted. Okay, and again, there's no two unsubscribe pages in this whole area
No.
that are the same.
But the supporter portal isn't part of your Q1 release? Or
The software, the web infrastructure has to be upgraded on a case-by-case basis for each organisation. Okay, so yeah, so you'll be able. Our intent is you'll be able to move to the new 2017 executable and not have to make large changes to the web, and then migrate the changes to the web as required.
you'll give us a link.
We'll go through that. Okay. So there's some stuff like the MasterCard support. We may even roll that out for most of them before we get to this Q1 release.
And each
Okay.
of the little changes to allow for the Q1 release will be chargeable, right?
Yes, yes. Because it's just a lot of work really for us to do. Okay, ways of purchasing tickets. So most of you have websites. I think everybody now has their online lotteries on their websites, and through the in-house processes. But there are other processes that you can use for ticket sales as well. On our Endeavour, we have developed a point of sale interface for you guys, and we have the ability to develop customized point of sale interfaces for any organisation. We're currently developing one for MARTA, for example. Actually, let's look at the MARTA lotteries mock-up. Okay, so no, you can go into the thing. So this is a generic interface that we're developing for MARTA at the moment. It will support 3 different functions. By selecting different options, we can use this for point of sale, and it will have FPOS integration. It can be used for face-to-face marketing on tablets out in the field, and it can be used for inbound telemarketing by external agencies. We just have browser support. Okay. So the screens and everything, they get customized for each individual organisation to your requirements, but they've got support for ticket purchases, VIP gifts, VIP ticket donation, gift donations, pledges, update payment details, different payment processes, and so forth. So there's facilities so that if it's in one scenario, it has printer support, for example, if it's at point of sale or FPOS, point of sale or face-to-face, or it only has credit card, FPOS support at in certain scenarios, and it only has check and cash support in certain scenarios, and so forth. But this is a sort of interface that we have done for a number of clients. I'll show another example where we developed for the Prince Charles Hospital Foundation, not in lotteries, but they use Clever Contacts as a telemarketing agency, external. So this is sorry for the blurriness, but this is actually the Clever Contacts interface. This is what the internal system for Clever Contacts. They bring they get the supporter on the phone, and if the supporter expresses interest, they hit this little button here, the web form, and that takes them to a direct interface into our platform. So it's actually the Clever Contacts staff who have direct access to web forms that are custom designed for the business processes that they're processing. In fact, we have a couple of different interfaces for this. So in the case of Prince Charles, we developed one interface for when they are contacting potential supporters after they have been through the hospital admission process. And then they have a separate process that is targeting pledge upgrade and updating of contact and credit card details. Okay, and again, these types of options are available to you. We are also developing more and more support for Ways Act. We've been working hard with Endeavour trying to get fairly complex stuff working with that. And there's other third-party interfaces that we provide also for a few of you for file transfers and stuff like that. So it can get very tricky sometimes, but those options are available there. Another thing I want to point out is we have another platform or another part of our infrastructure, which is our charity champion system, which is our peer-to-peer event fundraising platform, which we'll be covering more in the general area. But some of you are not aware that we can actually combine a lottery in a peer-to-peer event. So we worked with Glennis a few years ago on the motorcycle muster was the first one, I think it was. Yes. So they run a few events. They have a cardiac challenge where they have lots of very fit bike cyclists that cycle up the ranges and so forth. And they're great fundraisers. And then they have their motorcycle muster. And these guys, not so great fundraisers from what I can recall.
No, Safari is not too bad though.
But they would sell their mates. They wouldn't hit their mates up for a donation, but they would hit their mates up to sell them a lottery ticket for a Harley Davidson. So we got a screen of that. Safari, yeah.
Safari is all Canadian.
Okay, so in this case, they're raffling a Sea-Doo, whatever that is.
Sea jet ski. Personal watercraft, sorry.
Excellent. Okay, so to combine the lottery with a peer-to-peer event requires you tick a box in the champion event system. It's pretty much as simple as that. Okay, so the two are designed to work together. So this isn't obviously something you do for all events. But it's not necessarily something that the lotteries people will be getting into, but for some events, it does make a lot of sense to combine the two. Okay. That's not a new feature that's been available.
Does that box have to be ticked when you first set that event up, but you don't necessarily have to use it?
Sorry?
Does the box have to be ticked? Because we did one for private.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to change the website itself needs to support those changes.
Yeah.
Okay, finally I want to get into looking at the draw process. Now, one thing I want to cover, most of you are aware when you do an in-house draw for the lottery, we have a restriction currently that the draw process is designed to run on a 32-bit environment. And a lot of PCs these days are 64 bits. Yep. So we need to actually run it in a virtual machine sometimes in order to run the draw process. Now, just to give you an understanding of that, the algorithm that does the draw has to be certified through the Office of Gaming and Racing. And it costs, I think it cost about 10 grand last time we did that. So if we make a slightest change to that code is all locked off. And if any change that requires that not only do we have to change the code infrastructure, but we have to recertify through the Office of Gaming and Racing. Now, two things have prevented us from changing that to 64-bit. One is nobody wants to fork up the 10 grand or more to recertify. And we've always had a higher priority list where the money is better spent on other areas of development. The second thing is we've actually found it beneficial sometimes to have it locked out into another environment. It has stopped people doing some silly things by mistake sometimes. So we actually find it sometimes beneficial to have something as crucial as executing the lottery draw locked off on this separate environment. So one thing I wanted to raise today is to try to get some feedback as to whether this is an issue for people, whether anybody here has a problem with it and sees it as something that we need to urgently address, and if so, do they want to find 10 or 15 grand in their budget to get this over the line? This is one of the things, by the way, that if we did have 3 or 4 clients who did want this change, we would share that cost. So, but again, by the looks of it, there's lots of nodding ahead. It's not so important.
Well, that was fine. Yeah.
So we bring it up every now and then.
Is there any way to make it look nicer?
Yeah, the noise behind it.
The
Yeah,
HTML.
we just get a lot.
Screen
We get
itself.
feedback that people would like to see the draw, and so
Yep.
we put them off by saying, "You're welcome to attend the draw in person at our
Yep.
offices, etc." But we just toyed with the idea of videoing the draw and putting
Yep.
it up on Facebook and that kind of thing because people are interested.
Yep.
However, we wouldn't video it.
Have you customised the background of the draw
I think it's
process?
got this lovely
You mean the
star
light?
thing.
Oh,
that's
it's
gone.
on.
Yeah,
There's a new picture now.
Oh, new picture.
that's under
I
your
missed the light.
control,
Yeah, but
that picture.
it's the rest of the process, like,
Okay,
like someone clicking around going draw, not all to
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
That's
yeah.
what-
No one would see
Yeah.
it.
okay.
But that, we
Look,
have,
it's just
this
a,
is often
it's just a silly thing.
This
So
part
it's
is, yeah. No, I do understand
If
what
there
you're
was
saying.
like a nicer
I don't think
web
it's silly. I think
interface
it's-
Yeah.
where we go, oh, so they don't see the background stuff
Yeah.
as such, and they
Yeah.
just see us going, they see the,
Yeah.
the picture of the beautiful Mercedes GTS
Yep.
and us going,
Part of the problem
Or whatever it
is
is.
some of the draws are quite complex.
Yeah.
And for example, at Endeavour, when we did the original Life Changer lottery, the very first one, we had the auditors wanting to see on the screen every button that was pressed, and we had a double, triple checked every option, and they wanted that on the screen.
Well,
But
they
no,
don't
but
design
they,
it.
but they probably could have it on theirs, but there's no reason why we couldn't provide them with a computer.
yeah, I'm just like saying, Kim's in the background doing the draw, and I'm videoing
Okay.
a big screen like is
Yeah.
what we have it
Yeah,
pop
like
on at
the
work,
text
and
like
it
that.
looks
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah, because
Okay.
if something,
No, yeah,
if something goes wrong, it's all over the screen in front of the public.
Yep.
And that's a problem. But we also have a problem where that box there
Yep.
won't go away. So when
Yeah.
when it shows the image that we put up of the house,
Right.
and the winner is or whatever, that box stays there and it covers part of the picture. It looks really
Okay.
So do you
It
guys
doesn't-
try and do a draw publicly or?
without anyone who wants to draw.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did start putting it up on YouTube. We actually got in free of charge MCs
Yeah.
and stuff like that to actually go through it, talk, and it was actually quite good. But
Yeah.
then the company that we were using to put it up,
Yeah.
So that's sort of positive, Jamie mentioned.
but it's a bit lackluster.
The New South Wales and Victoria ones generally will observe the ruling by the office, by the Queensland office. So yes, the certification is done through Queensland, but our understanding is the other state gaming racing
You're happy with that?
they're happy with that as long as it's been certified.
Just as like further onto that, like what Pam was saying, it'd be great to be able to perhaps preset that information.
Yep.
Beforehand, and the draw itself is
What about the
calling up, draw first prize.
Yep.
Great images, tickets, but like,
What about the problem, that, like, for example, the Life Changer lottery has we had 30 separate draws or something.
Everything like this would still happen in the background. I was just wondering if there's a screen that we can display that just shows
Yeah.
the lovely car or house and
Yeah.
the winning ticket is blah.
Yeah.
Because obviously we have
Public
privacy
viewing
issues as well.
And your author and draw
Yeah.
people screen.
Okay.
But that, at the moment, regardless,
Yep.
that box appearing on the screen when it's trying to bring up like when it's showing the image and it's actually drawing a winner, there's no way to get rid of it.
Okay.
So that, to me, that should not appear. It should just be that whatever image we've said we want the public to look at while it's drawing.
Screen context can what you're experiencing can vary from Windows version to those versions, so maybe that's playing a role. But
It's happened the whole time we've had it. So whatever changes we've had, it hasn't resolved that issue.
You should be able to click on the other image and just have it. That does sound a bit strange. We'll look into that. Okay, we'll have I can't just make some notes on that, and we'll have a look and see what can be done. Having two sets of outputs from one machine, I don't know, and then we've got scenarios, for example, if you want to do, these guys are doing a draw from a Mercedes dealership. So how can we then support this sort of stuff on a remote environment, which is highly unlikely? So do we need to have two machines do the draw?
We did it from Andara, most of them must have.
Okay, yep.
On a laptop.
Yeah.
And projected it onto a big screen.
Yep. But if we're, from a technical point of view, if we have two screens, one, if they're saying they'll have an operator see one screen and the public see another screen, and to do that remotely, we'll have to think about that.
Remotely would be awesome, because if we could draw a winning ticket at the prize home.
Well, you can do that now.
Technically, though, not using the barrel.
Yeah.
Because your town.
No, you can do it.
You can do it. We've done
Renus
it.
has done it.
Taking the laptop actually accesses DMS remotely. I had it all set up to do that. Took it up to Andara, set it up, and then we had a glitch. But Chris, I think, took you took me the first one we did. But you can do it. You just connect your laptop up to Mailman.
Yeah. And as I said, MSQ are about to do a remote draw as well. So the remote draw, that's not a problem. This is we got to think about how. Yeah. We have to think about that.
I don't know if anyone else has had this issue, but we had a gift ticket winner. Now, statistically, we don't sell a huge number of gift tickets.
Yep.
So the odds of one of those winning the house or a prize are less. Someone did actually win a secondary prize, a gift ticket winner. When it came up on the winner, this is who won, it was just blank. Because the recipient details wouldn't show. And then when we went in to have a look at the recipient, there was nothing in the history, but if we couldn't find the purchaser, we had to get IT to go into the back end, determine who the purchaser was, so we could then go in and show the auditor that, yes, it was a gift ticket was purchased. Has that, have you?
Nobody's raised that before, but it's certainly, again, this is sometimes the source of different.
It might be resolved, because that was past.
We'll have a look. I can't just been running lots of draws and stuff lately.
Yeah, so maybe if you could test some gift ticket winners, because just to see what details appear.
And when you add the winners to that part, so you've added your three winners, and you just go to the history, it's fine. Then you go to the next part, you shouldn't be able to do anything. They're just the history's in there for the winners, but that line will come up when you go to pay off a new ticket in a new RU. That winning RU ticket. Ads will be there, which you could actually pay off if you select.
I think. Can you send me some more details on that? One other thing that, there's two other new features in lotteries that are coming. One is, if you may have noticed down the bottom, this little contact type field. So this is the one change we've made to the draw process. And what this allows you to do is pre-allocate contact types to specific types of contacts for a special draw. And they have to have a normal legitimate ticket according to all of the other definitions, but also must have this contact type. Now, what you can do with this is, for example, run a process before the draw that works out if somebody's birthday is in a certain range, and then do a special birthday draw. or maybe only people who have been supporters for 5 years or more, or whatever variation.
Should we be able to use that for like star supporters?
Yep.
Rather than having to select all the activity codes,
Yep.
we'd be able to do that and just predetermine that contact type to those activity codes.
Exactly right. So we started getting a few questions with people asking us, could we do it with this option? Could we have this type of drawing? The permutations were getting too complex. So what we decided was to do it as a contact type. So what you need to do is you need to have contact type, control over the contact types. You can do bulk update operations. So for example, the birthday draw, you would purge all the birthday draw contact types first, and then have a process goes through that allocates the ones that are just eligible to this draw. And then you can use this facility. So that's going to open up the types of variations you can use in the facility. Okay. Another little thing that we've added is at the moment in the prize recording, when you have a winner, it stores in the history, you see a little entry that they won a prize and it shows the amount. It will actually now show in the description the name of the what they won. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's a
where,
little,
sorry, where does that show?
in their history chat.
Oh, okay, so we've already got that.
No, you get the amount.
No, we've got the description
You
and
get
the
the
amount.
description, that's already there.
Yeah.
Maybe we will wait all previously.
That's already there.
There was something, okay.
Oh, goodness, sorry, I just skipped that. Sorry.
We'll go for that. Ms. can you grab Grace for a
Sorry.
photo? One other thing I just wanted to show in the next screen, please, Liz. I want to make sure people understand this little save list of eligible tickets and what it does. So what this does is when you run the draw with that big box ticked, it will actually create a temporary, create a table in your database that lists all the tickets that were included in that draw. And this is important from the auditability point of view. Okay. Now at the moment it's still just a back-end table. You need the IT people to pull that list out and so forth. But this can also be used as a double check if you want to test to see whether certain tickets were or were not included in a draw under certain circumstances. So trying to do it through doing a draw and looking at the winners doesn't really work. But you can use this facility to be able to get that full list, and it includes the ticket numbers, the order codes, and the contact codes information. So you can verify the settings that you have. Okay. Particularly if you are wanting to experiment with some of the more complex scenarios, such as include standing orders of a certain number of tickets or more, and stuff like that. We recommend that you do some tests beforehand to make sure that you've got the combinations right and that the correct tickets you think are going into the draw actually are going into the draw. Okay. Okay, that gets us to the end of the list of new and exciting things. Any other questions about lotteries? And we did allocate a bit of time. What we're trying to do with these sessions is run them for about an hour, hour and a bit, and then allow half an hour of Q&A and so forth, and then a half hour or so for morning tea and so forth. But if you're, so any other questions about lotteries or any other aspect of Mailman? Good. Everybody wants pictures from muffins. No, you're right.
I think the point on the drawer and what it looks like to the public is actually would be great to have something a bit better. Like,
yep.
Ideally, it's just a little picture in my mind. You know, music playing, fireworks things coming up. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so lackluster. It's a click of a button. You have to make it a bit more interesting. And
You have a visual, you need to have a few bells and whistles.
yeah, that's what I mean. So
yeah.
stuff like that would be great because it's very rare that we don't have public turn up for a lottery. And sometimes
people drive from South Australia to Brisbane to come into the room to watch and go, I drove all this way to look at that.
so it would be great to actually have it like, because that's customer, to me, that's just part of customer experience.
Yep.
So I think all of us would benefit.
Would it be hard to attach a video? Like I was just thinking the jet ski one, getting some good visual shots of the jet ski. Surely that wouldn't be too much.
The intention, the draw page that you see is actually a HTML web page. And the intent originally was that you can then modify that HTML file to include anything. But it sounds like there's some variation being done on that HTML. Has anybody experimented with the sorts of, I mean, you can create a web page.
There's a video or something in there.
So we can.
I didn't know you could do anything other than change that picture.
It's just a web page.
So we can actually have video on this.
You may be able to. My concern, you need to test it because I don't know if what you don't want is the video to be interrupting the draw process or something like that, or to be slowing it down. Yeah, exactly. But certainly, I mean, pretty much all of you have got web people, graphic designers and stuff. Let them have a play.
But it's what you're changing is the entire drawer when you're seeing those. So if I go from a distribution drawer to a cub drawer,
yep,
I have to change the
that's right. You have to swap it each time. Yeah.
Really want a more
the
drawer.
But maybe you can have, if it's just a web page, you could have that background, because at the moment we've got a white background and just an image.
Yeah.
So we could have that background that we could use as a template ongoing, which might be moving something.
Yep.
And that image just changes depending on the prize, or even if it's not moving, just something that's a bit more.
Or even their logo or something.
Well, the first Life Changer lottery, we had a picture of the home up there.
Yeah, and we do. We just change the picture of the house or whatever the prizes are for our Golden Rewards lotteries, but just something a bit more flamboyant would be good. And
it's more the screen that everyone's seeing, though.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of time to check all the
That's a separate challenge for us. That one's actually more complex, but we will look at the screen presentation process and what you're saying about the pop-ups, which window takes precedence and stuff.
It can be really cheesy.
Actually, can we try and draw this?
Once all that stuff's finished, you can just go away and just be left with a nice HTML that we're going to be all look beautiful.
Yeah.
And not have any of that. We don't need to see that anymore.
Can you build it?
Sure. It'd be really cheap.
Yeah.
Let's just run a draw for something. Okay, so this one, obviously, the background screen's been modified.
And I think when I did mine live, I think that's where I put my screen to. And then you have another OK button to do, don't you? Just after that.
Let's go through the process.
So that's
click on the background. Oh, there we go.
That was really, sorry,
that was
really
quick. We've only got a small number of seconds. And again, this screen also is customizable, I believe.
It is it?
Yeah.
Okay, we've never touched that either.
Ours just looks like that. Well,
ours is white.
Okay.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things that we can perhaps work with you guys on tinkering with in the existing infrastructure. Let's run one more, see if we can get that the first HTML page better.
Yeah, ours doesn't do that with before.
Okay, so I do have to be a little bit.
Yeah. But once it's there, if it's a reasonable number of tickets, it will sit there for a while, do its countdown and stuff. Yeah,
Is there a way not to have to click on it, that it just doesn't appear
Uh,
on
as-
the screen?
As I said, we'll have to look and see if there's something environmental with
Yeah,
your version of
yeah.
Windows that's stopping you from.
Being able to get out of that.
Yeah. Because that's certainly the way
Because
I thought.
honestly, I'm pretty sure I remember the first life changer, and it didn't do that. So I would assume that it is something environmental.
Yeah.
I didn't say that last week.
Okay, but you can all contact us after these sessions and we'll coordinate, see if we can come up with some nifty new ideas, new approaches. I might have a talk to our graphics team and see if they can come up with a nice example or something like that. And see if there's something simple that we can do. And if there's a more complex option, particularly if we're talking split screen, stuff like that, that might be more technically complex.
So HTML, you're not talking that screen there, you're talking the one
Uh,
before where.
Both.
So while the draw's running and then.
Yeah.
We asked Chris only a few about a month ago about that, because it's an image and here are the dimensions for the new image,
Yeah,
not that it's a web page.
The image sits inside the web page.
Right,
It probably
okay.
gave you the dimensions of the image to replace what is there on the web page, but it's actually an HTML file. The other thing you do have to be careful of, we did have an issue at some stage with Endeavour with the particular browser they were using on the draw machine was caching previous images.
It still does.
It still does.
So we'll do a test draw
Yep.
prior to the actual draw, or from previous draws, what happens is it'll say, and the winner is, and then it'll bring up that screen. Can you bring that screen up? Sorry again. Yeah, that one there.
Yeah.
And it'll have the previous winner. And in our spiel before we start, we actually have to tell the public
Okay, and
we
then
have a
switch it.
caching issue, and yeah, we can't get rid of it. Can we?
You'll bring up that one and then it will refresh after that
Yeah.
and then show you.
We just
Okay.
tell them that's not the winner.
Has anybody else seen that? Because we've only ever seen that ad in Endeavour.
We can't get rid of it.
Can you clear history?
Yeah. I don't know. IT have done all sorts of investigations. I can't get rid of it. Hence why we say it before we start, because otherwise it looks dodgy if you say it at the time. So I'm not an IT person. It's not been resolved, so
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Okay, we might need to have another look at the environment, which browser is being used or something like that as well. Okay, but yeah, as I said, I've only ever seen it in the Endeavour environment, and that was some time ago. I didn't realise it was still nothing wrong. But yeah, but overall, I mean, a lot of draws have happened through the Mailman system, and to my knowledge, documentation issue that's been the only challenge that we have in those areas. So, yeah.
Just a question not related to draws.
Yep.
If someone buys $1,000 worth of tickets, it still
Yep.
goes in as $999.99. I'm assuming that's to do with
The
our
rounding, yeah, with
rounding.
your
There's
pricing.
no way to fix that without funding.
We'd have to look at the pricing setup for your scenario. We go to 4 decimal places on your pricing. When we originally designed it, we were given certain pricing structures, and they might have changed a little bit, or it's gone to a higher level or something. I don't know.
No, it's all still the same. It's just,
Okay. They might need a 0.0001 cent change to the price setup or something like that. So let's have a look at that separately. Okay. Anything else, guys? Okay, excellent. I think, are you all staying for the next session? Everybody? Excellent. Great. Well, please help yourself to tea, coffee, biscuits, etc. And we'll start the next section in about half an hour.
Is that just the way to go half an hour later?